So, hi everyone, my name is Shu Xin. I'm 18 years old and I come from Malaysia. I am a 100 Youth Ambassador and I'm with Deepak Ramola, the founder and artistic director of Selected Innovation Project Field. So, thank you for joining us, Deepak. I'm so excited to jump into this interview and find more about you and your work. So, are you ready to get into it?
Absolutely, Shu. Let's go.
All right. So, can you start by telling us who are you and how are you making life better for us students?
I'm Deepak Ramola. I am a very passionate lover of potatoes. That's the most important fact about me, because I think everybody, has an opinion about potatoes, and they're available all year round across the world. So I'm a lover of potatoes. I'm a wisdom historian. I'm an author. I'm an educator too. And the way I'm hoping to make life better for students around the world is by making sure that school education systems don't just make you intelligent, smart, and clever, they also help you become wise. So that's what I'm trying to do with my work.
Why do you do what you do?
Very quickly, Shu, my mother was pulled out of school when she was in grade 5, and she never had a chance to go back to school. And I never believed that story. My mother is so smart and so articulate and intelligent that I thought she was lying about not going to school. But as I probed further, she said that she knows so much about everything because she pays attention to her life and whatever every experience teaches her. And since she was young, when she was pulled out of school, she has always treated the world as her classroom. And I thought if my mother is learning simply from living, that means everyone who's living is learning something. So I do this work so that no child in the world has to grow up feeling pressured to be successful with money or fame to leave a legacy. Just where you are with what you know, that's a good enough mandate to be remembered and to impact the world. That's what I do.
Yeah, I hear that you are very passionate about education. But what were you like when you yourself was a student?
Wow, I was passionate about education. I come from a middle class family from a small town. So you can imagine that academics and getting good scores and, being in the top 3 ranks is always a mandate. Like your parents, I think, sort of put that unspoken pressure of you getting always the top grades. But when I was growing up, unfortunately, I was heavily bullied in school. I didn't have too many friends. I sounded, very kiddish, very girlish with my voice. And so I was always the kind of student who tried to use opportunities that were friendly to me. Studying new things, speaking in the school debate competition, participating in poetry, being out there, learning music. I used that time to nurture myself. And so books became my friends. I spent a lot of time in the school library. And over time, as the bullying sort of fizzled out and I started to like myself and love myself, I realized that all the time I invested in making my knowledge grow and become deeper, helped me carry through all the tough days in school when you are trying to make friends and nobody wants to sit with you, all of those things. So I think my love for education grew because it became my harness against all the emotions and the emotional exhaustion of bullying that I was facing.
Yeah, so listening that you're an active person, so let's do a fill in the blank question. So
Okay.
Fill in the blank in this sentence. My weekends usually involve blank. Yeah.
Oh my God. My weekends usually involve lying on the same couch for hours and reading, I think, from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. with just 2 toilet breaks and 1 lunch break. I love reading and I don't want to be bothered. And also, my weekends involve being surrounded by everybody I love, but bothered by none. I tell them, be around. I want to be able to see you, but don't ask of me anything. Yeah.
Yeah, so since you read a lot, right? So what is the quote, mantra, or belief that you try to live by?
Shu, that's a fantastic question. I think my most important belief has been that your talent is not your gift, it's your responsibility. When you consider your talent to be your gift, you can be lazy, you can be fickle minded, you can be non-productive, you can be flaky about it. I'm okay, I can teach classes but I don't want to, I speak well but I don't want to write. But when you take it up as your responsibility, when you know you can do something well, you will try to set a benchmark and you will try to do it over and over again, even on days when you are not in the most imperatively energized self. You'll still show up because you are not trying to do it as a hobby, you are trying to fulfill it as a responsibility. And so I have been teaching in prison cells for an entire week, have been in refugee camps for 90 days, and still showed up to my regular classes as soon as I landed back in my hometown or whatever my next engagement was. I never took it for granted that just because I spoke to 5,000 people yesterday and they loved my work, I shouldn't show up for 30 kids who are waiting in a remote village for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like about all the impact that you have made, people kind of always look at the bright side, but I'm sure there are days where it feels challenging and hard to get through also, right? So can you tell us what was the biggest challenge that you have faced?
Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. There are so many. Especially in the pandemic, I can list an encyclopedia of challenges for you, Sue. But I would say the biggest challenge is conveying your ideas to other people and making sure they understand. It's a lonely journey in the sense you can convey to the best of your ability what is in your head, but if the other person doesn't understand it, there will be some miscommunication, there will be some mismatch. So the first is that to be understood with these kind of eccentric, abstract, new age ideas, innovations. It's very difficult to find everybody applauding you. So creating teams, I think, becomes difficult. The other, I think, is age, because I started so young. People never took me seriously for the longest time. They thought, oh my God, you're just like out of college, you're doing this as a pastime. And I'm like, no, I'm really serious about making a mark in education and using this knowledge and this wisdom for the benefit of students and teachers around the world. And people never took me seriously. I mean, now I have a little mustache and a beard, I think, and I can try to speak with a little bit of baritone when I need to. But I think that was the other challenge. Some people are very ageist in the educational domain, and they will reject or select you based on how many years you have added to your life so far, which is unfair, I must say. Very unfair. Children are very, very rich with knowledge. That's one of the myths I have tried to break with my work, that wisdom doesn't come with age. Yes, more experience comes with age, but every child has some experience. That means they have certain amount of wisdom. And can we celebrate that? So that's what I'm trying to hopefully get past.
Yeah, sure. So, like having gone through those challenges, right? What advice would you give to someone who wants to change the world?
My first advice is, don't think about changing the world at all. Trying to think about bettering the world. A lot of times when we say we want to change something, the implication is that we want to uproot what exists and we want to plant a brand new seed and then wait for 100 more years to see it grow. When you want to better something, you will trim a branch from here, you will pluck a withered leaf, you will try to water the roots more strongly, you will try to provide it manure. So when you want to create something meaningful, don't think about changing, because that means starting from scratch, and that can be exhausting and lonely and tiring. Think about bettering. Take what exists and then try to build upon it. Then you will never feel that you are all by yourself. Everybody who came before you has created the pathway for you to run on and see what the end is going to be.
Yeah. And we have heard about many like huge impacts, huge stories, but do you have one memorable story when your innovation made a direct impact on one or two students?
Oh, wow. I mean, I have some really fun stories. One that I can tell you very recently happened. I had taught many years ago at a school in my hometown. And, one of the students, of course, I taught so much over the last 13 years. One of the students last year reached out to me during the pandemic. And she said, I don't know if you remember me, but I was one of your students. And I benefited so much from learning from other people's life lessons that now I'm a brain and cognitive science scholar. And I want to work with you full time because I think what you did for me, I want to be able to do it for others. And now she's joining us as a full-time team member, from next month. So I'm very excited with the graph of that story, that somebody was able to use what I had to serve. And now they are encouraged and inspired to serve many more people and join hands with me. The other second story that I really remember is of a young boy taught many years ago. He had a spoiled eye, and his classmates were making fun of him that, he didn't look normal, whatever normal means. And I took him to the center stage in his classroom and I said, do you play? And he said, yes. I said, do you write your homework? He said, yes. I said, do you come to school on your own? He said, yes. And then I asked the same questions to the class. And everybody in the class, raised their hands, do you do your homework? And then I asked, this boy does the exact same things that you do with one eye, that you do with two eyes. Who's more talented, this boy or you? And they said, this boy. And I said, you should be very grateful that he doesn't make you feel inferior because he is more talented. And I think from that day on, there was never a problem in that class. The boy was able to construct a positive story about, his disability and his being differently able. So that's a story I really love because it tells me over and over when I step into a classroom, Shu, that we need to tell every single child a positive narrative about themselves. No matter if you wear glasses, if you wear braces, if you are 30 pounds heavier, if you are darker skin, if we can spin a positive story for every child, I think they will carry that onto their life without feeling reduced by it.
Yeah, I really love how you encouraged him and also how you think that every child has the same potential. All right, so thank you for having this conversation with us, Deepak. And it was such a pleasure to sit down with you and learn about your own life lessons. So you can find more information about Project Feel in the links below. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Shu. Love doing this with you. Good job.